All right, so okay, we got that. You all ready for the legs? You hate leg day? Yeah, me too. All right. Do you even lift, bro? Yeah. All right. Legs. The legs are pretty interesting into that you don't have to overthink it. Just focus on. No. I mean, you can focus on the belly button, but. All right. Let's see how. All right, so I'm on the legs layer. Pin. Okay, so I'm going to pin up here. That's going to be the hips. Hip. We've got two hips. The convenient thing about this is I have the legs all in one layer. They're not separated like the arms. Which I guess you could have some convenience if you created a character and if you just focused on one leg and maybe duplicated that leg in some way, to where, and if you kind of offset them so they're not kind of like looking the same but offsetted. That could be a strategy. Now in this situation, let me look at this. You see how there's triangles up here? We never really talked about that. Triangles is like the resolution to which things bend. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the hips. I'm going to do the knees. And then I'm going to put a pin where I guess the heel would be. Just straight where the heel would be, right there. All right, so I'm going to do some test bends. All right. Okay, just calm down. All right. Now, if I increase the number of triangles, look at that. Look how it changes the bend. It kind of added more, I guess, resolution to the bend. There's more angles to the bend, I guess you could say. So as I can play with that area of of more triangles or not, so if I had 100 triangles, that angle of bend would kind of change. And I kind of actually, so you have to kind of test to see, I guess, where the triangles are, just to kind of see whether they're in a decent spot or not. I don't know. It just depends. Kind of just depends on the graphic. This one, I'm kind of fine with 100. This one looks okay with 100. Yes. Yeah, you don't want an overwhelming like mesh. Because that's going to increase the render time. And it's just like, why even do that? All right, so exactly. So punny. All right. So what I want to do is I want to kind of figure out. All right. So I want to figure out the extreme in this situation. So if I was walking, and I'm in this step like this. So this one is here, and this one's back here. So I'm like kind of in this step, okay? That's kind of what I want to express here. I know some of y'all back there did not see that. That's okay. I'm going to replicate that here. All right, so it's kind of in this step. So that's kind of the extreme of both, okay? One is extreme forward, one is extreme back. Okay, and that's where I'm actually going to start in this situation. I'm going to start in the extremes, okay? And then I'm going to start animating both. So I'm gonna kind of work in a, maybe as a guide, I'm kind of going to use these 15th of a second, markers to kind of help me. So 15th of a second. Let's see, what is this leg going to do when it starts coming back? It's gonna step. Maybe the knee will kind of start to straighten out. This knee will start to come back. This foot will start to come back about right there. You start to get like this neutral stance, okay? Now we go to the 1 second mark, okay? This one starts to step forward a little bit. The knee starts to move. Now this leg starts to move a little bit forward. You notice this hip is going to start to tweak a little bit. We might have to change that. Yeah. And then you notice this foot is going to start to go extreme forward. So see, now we have the complete opposites, right? So now we just went from that to that. And that's what we're looking for. When we go from that to that, we have completed a full cycle. So guess what? That's kind of the hardest part. The hardest work is over. Yes, it's plus and minus. You hover over the timeline and you hit plus and you do minus. All right, so when I get it to right here, the next one is going to be what? It's going to be going back to the neutral stance. Well, I already have that one. I already know what that one is. So I'm going to select my legs layer and I'm going to hit U because I need to see those frames. Wow, look how many frames I got for that one. Got a lot of frames going here. Because that makes sense. So I have all these right here that are going to be copied and pasted right there. So now I'm starting to be efficient. Now I'm copying frames I've already established to be already used later on. See, that's probably where we should have maybe made some more keyframes. I'm actually going to we're going to actually finish this up. All right. So here's the tip. If you have it like this, if you've done it from extreme forward, full cycle to extreme right there, and then gone back to a neutral stance, guess what? The whole cycle restarts over again. Well, guess what? We don't have to keep doing that. Let's just go ahead and just copy all of those frames. Command C. Let's move to the next 15th second spot. Command V. There it is. Let's move to the next 15th second spot. Command V. You see what I'm doing here? Hopefully. Command V. All right. So at this point, if we did it right, it's going to look like he's kind of walking. Emphasis on the kinda. All right. So let's fix those hips. Exactly. Let's work on them hips. All right. So I'm going to, let's see. In that neutral point, I'm going to put a pin up in that top hip area to say, hey dude, I want you to stay there. Same with this one. I want you to stay there. Same with this one. I want you to stay there. I just did 3 pins up in the top. Aha. That seemed to keep things in place. You are literally pinning those things to say, don't move. That's awesome. All right.